All right, so I'm just gonna plug in our new Starlink Quick Connect into their jack, and it should work. What's going on, everybody? JP here from Wander to Get Lost, and in this video I'm going to go over how I added an RJ45 Quick Connect to our Starlink cable from our satellite to our router. So when we first got the Starlink, I did not want to mount it anywhere on the RV or even get the pole guy for our ladder, only because depending on where we are in the RV park, we might have to position our satellite to get full reception coverage without any obstructions. So I wanted to keep that loose. For that reason, I always had the router inside this cabinet, and I would always feed the line in here, and then I would connect the router to this power strip on our inverter. So I wanted to change that. I wanted to put the router inside the RV, get better coverage and signal to the laptop up front where we do most of our work. So I got a snazzy little Starlink shelf unit, and that was $18.50 off of Amazon. I'll put a link to that down below in the description. In addition to that, I got the industrial waterproof Quick Connect. This was $18.79. So for both those items, 38 bucks. What added to the little bit more cost of this project was I had to buy a RJ45 crimper. I got this out at Lowe's. It was $30, and it also came with your connectors. So that's what you're going to be using. So the first thing I had to do was install the shelf unit on our kitchen cabinet where I wanted it positioned. I made sure I had the screw anchors, so it's nice and snug on our kitchen side cabinet wall. Once I had that positioned, I was able to draw a hole right behind it, and I was able to feed the power cable from the Starlink into the kitchen cabinet where I have an outlet and plug that in there. And then I was able to run the Starlink cable down through our access that we have underneath our sink cabinet, and that brings the wire down underneath here into our RV main bay, where I just ran the wire over and then brought it down to this connection spot, which is mounted on our Victron inverter. So I made sure I left a little play in the wire, and then bird. Okay, so then after I made the big snip into our Starlink cable, you will find that there is a shielded Cat 5 cable with a silver ground wire. So the most important thing is making sure you have the correct pin out, which is which color of the Cat 5 cable goes to the pins of your connector. So we found the pin out for the Starlink, and I will put a color picture next to me right here, and I'm pretty sure, let me go off of memory, it was orange, white, orange, blue, white, green, green, white, blue, brown, white, brown. And then the one thing that stumped me that I've never done before with a connector was the ground line. And I looked, and a bunch of people say you wrap it around the brown, white, and blue, pull it out the back of the connector, and then that makes contact with the metal of the connector, and then that will ground everything. So I hope that's right. I'll keep doing research on that. So obviously it's fairly simple. You're just going to use your crimper. After you cut the wire, they're going to strip back a bunch of the gray sleeve. Once you do that, unravel all the wires, and then what I like to do is move them back and forth, up and down, to try and get as much of the kinks out of them as possible. So the one thing that this connector is not is it's not a pass-through. This was basically it's a terminal in, so you have to push the cables all the way up to the top and then crimp it. I would recommend you get the pass-through ones, just because you can pass the wires completely through, snip them off at the end, and then crimp it, so you'll definitely know you have good contact. I've done it before with computer and doing networking and stuff, so I was pretty confident in being able to get good connections. So after you do that, you lay out your wires all in the proper order, and then you slide them into your connector, and then you crimp the connector down. So you're going to do that on both sides. I had to do the one that goes into the connector here on the back, and then the one that goes here on the connector on the front. So after it's all said and done, that's what it will look like that. And then it just plugs in here like so. Alright, so that's it. It was a pretty simple project. The hardest part was just making sure I got the pin out correctly, and then just taking my time to get the wires nice and straight for when I put them into the connector. Pretty much anybody could do this job. The only one thing I might do is on the shelf for the router, I might put some double-sided tape or maybe some Velcro, just so that way when we're driving I don't have to worry about the router spilling over, because there's no way to completely secure it to that. It's not made for an RV, it's for a house or vacation, so we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, not bad. It's under $70 to do this complete project. Everything is set into place, and the only thing now that we have to do when breaking down the RV is I just have to disconnect my connector, wrap up my wires, and then our Starlink always goes in and sits on our bed while we're driving. So yeah, no more of dealing with the router inside this bin and constantly plugging it in, unplugging it, and connecting and disconnecting from the router. So super happy with this. It was a very easy project. And if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I will link to the products I used in the video. And thanks for watching, everybody. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and follow along on our crazy RV adventure. Until the next video, stay lost, everybody.